Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Macomb County. This is the candidate forum for the City of Fraser at-large election. My name is Terry Gibb, and I am the forum coordinator for the League of Women Voters in Macomb County. The League of Women Voters is a national organization whose mission is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League neither opposes nor supports candidates or political parties. We welcome all citizens aged 16 and over to become members. And now, I want to thank everybody for coming, and I'm going to turn it over to our forum moderator, Maria Rivera.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Good evening and welcome to the City of Fraser Candidate Forum being conducted at the VFW Post 6691 in Fraser, Michigan. This presentation of candidates is for the general election on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. We ask that everyone please turn off your cell phones, electronics of any kind are not to be used during the forum. There are no candidate campaign materials allowed in this forum room. This includes buttons, coffee mugs, t-shirts, etc. All campaign materials must be left outside of the forum room and can be distributed only after the forum is completed. The format for this forum has been established by the League of Women Voters. The format was reviewed with and agreed to by each candidate prior to the forum. This forum is being videotaped by Mike Lesage and will be available on the Macomb County League of Women Voters website. A link to our website will be available through the City of Fraser's website. There are 5 candidates running for 3 open seats, each for a 4-year term for the City Council at Large general election, again to be held on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. In alphabetical order, the 5 candidates are Matthew Dantes, Crystal Fletcher, George Michael Higgins, Laura Michael, and Patrick Odell. Please note that this forum is about the presentation of the candidates and their opinions to enable voters to make an informed decision at the polls. All candidates have been invited to participate in this forum. If unable to attend, the League offers an opportunity to read a 1-minute statement on their behalf. 1 statement was sent for one of the absentees. The League of Women Voters is providing this forum as an opportunity for voters to learn about the views of the candidates. Statements expressed by the candidates are not endorsed nor opposed by the League. Also, the League of Women Voters does not clarify any candidate responses to questions as accurate. Voters are encouraged to fact-check information shared at the forum. Participating in tonight's forum are 3 candidates: Crystal Fletcher, George Michael Higgins, and Patrick Odell. Matthew Dantes, unable to attend, chose to submit a statement. This statement is from Matthew Dantes. My name is Matthew Dantes, and I am running for City Council. I'll work to cut excess spending so your money goes where it should. I am committed to reducing the monthly water bill and other expenses without necessary funding. I support our police and will always work for a safe community. Together we can make our city stronger, safer, and more affordable. Laura Michael will not be attending tonight's forum. Assisting tonight are several volunteers from the League. Forum greeter, Marilyn Rudzinski, thank you. Question gatherers, Shelley Lataki and Maggie Murphy. That's Shelley. Maggie, okay, and Maggie over there. Question sorters are Kristen McFarland, Debbie Griffith, and Catherine Laboon. And our timekeeper is Nanette Norbakish. Questions are submitted by members of the audience. So write your questions down, give them to one of our question sorters, one or two, just wave your card, they'll come over and pick it up for you. And give the written questions to the sorters who will give the questions to the sorters. These are these are the gatherers, they will give it to the sorters. They are sorted for redundancy, for slander, and for language, like bad language. So our timekeeper, Nanette Norbakish, will hold up a card and demonstrate. Each candidate will have a 1-minute opening statement, a 1-minute response time, and 1-minute closing statement. Nanette will hold up the 15-second sign when you have 15 seconds left in your 1 minute. She also has a stop sign when your time is up, and I will cut you off. Okay. Well, yeah, I'll give you a chance to finish your question, but sometimes when I say that, it goes into a sentence run-on, and that's what we were not gonna have. So, okay, so there are to be no verbal comments or applause from the audience during the forum. So please turn off again or silence your electronic devices. Please be respectful of the candidates who are providing valuable voter information and of the voters who need this information to make an informed decision at the polls. As moderator, I reserve the right to close discussion on any question. The order of seating this evening was by drawn lot right before we started. We will begin with the candidates' 1 minute. Opening statements, closing statements will be in reverse order. So, opening statements, Mr. Odell, 1 minute, please.
Thank you very much. As Maria said, my name is Patrick Odell. I'm currently on Fraser City Council seeking re-election and current Mayor Pro Tem. I want to thank the Macomb League of Women Voters for hosting this event. I think it's very, very important to get answers out to the community so they can make an informed decision, whether that's for me or any of the other candidates. Information is power, and I believe full transparency so you can make an informed decision at the ballot box. A little history about me. I've lived in Fraser for about 21 years with my wife, Dana Frears. We have 4 children, 3 that are still in the house, going to school. We love Fraser. I got into the race originally because I saw some of the items in Fraser that were having issues, and I want to be able to bring common sense and common sense decision making for our voters. Well, I got to stop already, but hopefully I can answer any questions you have going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Odell. Mr. Higgins, 1 minute, please.
All right, I'm George Higgins. I am also running for Fraser City Council. I'm a first-time candidate. I'm a lifelong Macomb County resident. I bought my first home here in Fraser almost 5 years ago now, and I've loved this city. It's a really nice, small community, and I'm running for council to make it better and to continue improving it. I'm a former IBEW union steward for 2 different locals. I've worked as a residential realtor for almost 5 years now. Proud to have been endorsed by our former Mayor Pro Tem Dana Sutherland, along with the UAW. I'm an active volunteer with Meals on Wheels. I'm doing that for almost 2 years now, driving the Fraser 1 route. And like I said, I'm a first-time candidate, so of course I want to thank the League of Women Voters and VFW Post 6691 for hosting and helping us get, first-time candidates, especially municipal candidates. We don't get a lot of attention, so I would like to thank the League and VFW 6691 again for hosting us. And my time is about to expire, so I'm going to pass it on.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. And Ms. Fletcher, please.
Hello, I'm Crystal Fletcher, born and raised in Fraser. My mother was a resident for 49 years before she passed away as well, earlier this year, unfortunately. And that honestly was a big driver in me finally actually pushing the button and deciding to run. She inspired me a lot. She was a true Christian woman, and she loved the city of Fraser. And I've been considering already, I have been active in the community. When I was in school, I was involved in pretty much every activity you can imagine throughout when I was in Fraser High School. But coming back and moving here, I just want to be able to get back to the community. It deserves it. I know there's a lot of things that we'd like to see be improved in our city, and I think new voices, new ideas, and new drive can truly make that difference. And I just want to be able to make the city proud. I want to be able, us to be able to be proud of our city, and I want to be a part of that. And I hope that you'll allow me to. And thank you for hosting us as well.
Thank you, Ms. Fletcher. First question now, we'll go first to Mr. Higgins. Now, if you have some questions, again, wave them, they'll come pick them up. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Higgins, how can volunteers be utilized in city projects?
Well, I think we've seen a lot of that already with the Fraser First Booster Club, which did such an excellent job helping build McKinley Barrier-Free Park. There was extensive use of volunteers in that project. The Beautification Club is always out there volunteering. I see the landscaping, the decorations going up all the time at the sign. So I think making sure we're posting those volunteer opportunities, whether it's on the city's social media, whether at city events, we have a QR code or a sign-up sheet for people to, if they come to one city event, we should get them, maybe if they want to, show up and help make the next event even better and bigger. That's a great opportunity, to meet people when they're already out of the home. But as part of that, we have to continue making spaces where people are able to engage in their community. The revitalization of Steffens Park would be an important part of that, having a project for people to work on and to make their community better. So it's more than just a baseball diamond and an empty field.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. And Ms. Fletcher.
I have to agree with him. I think we truly have a wonderful community in Fraser, and that we do have a lot of volunteers, a lot of people that work together. And I think we can just build upon that. You can utilize volunteer work, in the ways we have, with our parks, with just the beautification. And I think in other ways we could find too, getting fresh ideas, but it's also getting people together to do these things. I think it's been really hard, even with social media and stuff. I've noticed, and people are saying, "Oh, I'm not seeing," as you mentioned, some people aren't seeing certain posts. Some people aren't on, knowing when these events are. Or I'll see things like 3 days after. I think it's going to be really important for us to find the best options and the best ways to really get information out there, so we can get more community involvement. Because if people don't know, if they don't know until the last minute, how are they going to volunteer if they have plans? I think we can utilize people, and we do utilize volunteers in a lot of ways. And I think it's just finding the best way to go about it and optimize it is the best thing to do.
Thank you, Ms. Fletcher. And Mr. Odell, how can volunteers be utilized in city projects?
Well, I've been a volunteer for many years on the city nonprofits with Fraser First Booster Club, the Lions Club, and the Fraser Goodfellows. We're very lucky in the city that we have a huge base of volunteers that have helped year after year to try to make this city better. And as a city council, we need to work together with our volunteer organizations so we can bring more projects to fruition, because government can't do it all. Government can't run everything. It takes volunteers, and luckily we are blessed to have amazing volunteers, many who are in the audience tonight. So as a city councilman, it's important to work with these volunteer groups, try to help Fraser become a better place to live for all our residents. And when you have community involvement with these projects, you're going to get a better result for the city and its residents.
Thank you, Mr. Odell. Next question first to Ms. Fletcher. What do you believe are the core responsibilities for someone elected to this office?
Well, first and foremost, I think it is going to be vital that you listen to your constituents. You're serving the people, and I think unfortunately we see a lot in government that people sometimes serve themselves. That's not what we want here, and I don't think we have that here personally, to be quite honest. I love, our community, and I love the people that we have, but we want to ensure it stays that way, So I think it's important that they have the mindset of serving the community. I think it's important that they are very communicating these things with the community too, be it anything we have to spend money on that's unexpected. You should be explaining to your community, hey, this is why we're doing it, and they understand. You know what I mean? Communication is a huge thing, because we do make decisions in government, but we're also the middleman in government as well, to ensure that our constituents stay informed and that they can make informed decisions when it does come to votes and whatnot as well.
Thank you, Ms. Fletcher. And Mr. Odell, what do you believe are the core responsibilities for someone elected to this office?
the most important responsibility is make sure the city is on a good financial path. Making sure that we're meeting our obligations to pay our police, to pay our DPW that makes our city run. If our finances are not in the proper place, they're not being looked at carefully and making decisions you got to look long-term, not just what's going on right today, but how your decisions are going to affect the long-term financial stability of the city. Not too long ago, we had to raise our taxes dramatically, had to cut police because many years spending was just kind of out of control. So you got to keep your eyes on the finances. That's the most important thing. I have a finance background. I worked for the Macomb County Treasurer's Office and a county degree and whatnot. So it's very important that you know your numbers, so you can plan going forward to make sure all your city's needs are being met best that they can.
Thank you, Mr. Odell. Mr. Higgins, what do you believe are the core responsibilities for this office?
Well, I'm going to sound like I'm agreeing with both of them because I am. You want to have a good financial footing for the city. You want to listen to constituents, but also you have to collaborate with your fellow council members because you're just one vote on council out of 7. And if you want to do something in council and nobody else on council wants to do it, that idea ain't going anywhere. So you better have a way to persuade others to see things your way. After you listen to the constituents and you develop an idea and you want to develop a plan, you got to be able to talk to the other 6 council members and chart a way forward that's going to get a majority consensus. Because without a majority, you can't do anything, as we saw recently with some tie votes on council. So I think along with collaborating, listening, the sound financial footing, those are the core responsibilities, and of course working with the city administration as well.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. For next question, we'll go first to Mr. Odell. If elected, what specific actionable steps will you take to increase government transparency, improve communication with residents, and ensure all parts of the community feel their voices are being heard in the decision-making process? I'll repeat that question. You could take a few notes if you'd like. If elected, what specific actionable items will you take to increase government transparency, improve communication with residents, and ensure all parts of the community feel their voices are being heard in the decision-making process?
All right, thanks for that question. So specific action as a council member, you got to be available for your constituents. You got to answer emails, you got to answer calls, you got to respond to residents' concerns. Being available is the most important thing, because if you're hiring us to do a job to represent you, and if we're not getting back to you, we're not representing you. As far as being transparent, I think that's the best policy all around, because whether it's a good answer or a bad answer, you need that information out there so your residents know what's going on with your city. And specifically as a council member, that's what I can do. And also to make sure our city leadership, the city manager, department heads are being also as transparent as possible. Sometimes we can't always get the answer right away, but getting the answer is, eventually is most important.
Thank you, Mr. Odell. And Mr. Higgins.
I think, as far as the communication aspect, we do have a comms person, so making sure, staying on top of that person, making sure they're doing outreach and communicating with residents about what's going on. I got a notice on my door the other day that my driveway was going to be blocked for 3 weeks, and the DPW did a good job. They called me twice too and warned me, so I get my car out of the driveway before it was trapped for 3 weeks, and I'm very thankful to them for that. And like Pat said, being available for residents is key. I have a background working in the Michigan House of Representatives, working constituent services, basically customer service for taxpayers. When you have a problem with the state government, you're having an issue with the government you pay taxes to all your life, and all of a sudden it's, oh, well, you didn't fill out this form right, you didn't check this box right, we need more information. Helping guide people through that process so they can get support from the government they pay taxes to. And on city council, I'm hoping to do the same thing, always to be available with any city issues. I have my phone number on my website, so if anyone wants to reach out to me ahead of the election or after the election, I'll be available. In transparency, just being clear with what's happening in the city, and that's about it.
Okay, good, thank you. And Ms. Fletcher, what will you do to increase government transparency, communication with residents, and ensure parts of the community feel their voices are heard?
I know it's really important for residents to feel that they're part of what's happening. They know what's happening in the city. I believe in an open government. I want to be available to residents, saying, you know, I'm more than happy to have a conversation pretty much whenever. You know, I'm a pretty laid back individual, and I think it's important. Like, I feel with politics, we've gotten to a point where we feel like they're kind of untouchable. Like, I don't want to be untouchable. I want you to say hi to me. You know, I'm like, but I'm an open book. I'm happy to answer any questions for, you know, honestly, for good or bad, unfortunately, you know. But one thing for trying to keep it open and everything, I think it's important for us to do maybe more town halls. If there's not interest in that, because I know it's hard to get everyone in the room at the same time, maybe trying to do more surveys and stuff in the community, you know, and anyone that has any sort of recommendations for how we can try to get more input from the community. I think that's really important because I know, again, that we want to make sure everyone feels heard and that we get that input at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fletcher. Next is first to Mr. Higgins. What is your position on Stephens Park improvement? What would be your priority, and how would you get support from others on the council?
So as I kind of hinted at already, I do support the motion that that failed last council meeting to put a bid out, you know, hire AEW to develop a plan for Stephens Park. And part of that plan is having a study and listening to residents, giving residents an opportunity to give feedback about what they want to see in Stephens Park. Can you repeat the second half of that question?
Yes, what would be your priority, and how would you get support from other members of the council?
I think really the key is to underline the value in having a plan so you can go out and get grants, so you can get the best deal for residents and reduce the cost of the project. I know that happened with the project with McKinley Park. There were a ton of grants the city got. Our nonprofits here supported that project as well, and we got, you know, a park that was more than what the city paid for, right? Because it sources from grants and from nonprofits. I think that's how I would talk to it with other council members. Hey, this is good value for our money.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Ms. Fletcher, what is your position on Stephens Park improvement, and how would you get support from the rest of the council?
I actually agree with George. I was one of the kids that helped decide what Stephens Park looked like. You know what I mean? I was one of the second graders that they had us draw out what we wanted it to be like. Like, it's so neat. Like, I think at the beginning, though, we do need some sort of plan. You know, what people, and I'm just learning now, is that you in order to get a lot of these grants, you have to have these very set, stringent ideas, or, you know, to set forth to them. Otherwise, they're not going to approve it. And there's so much money that we pay in taxes that we can get back from the federal government and the state government, that why don't we? You know, and in this situation, the math just works that you get up better off for it, and our city ends up better off for it. You know, it just makes sense to me. So I think, you know, having healthy dialogue, that's the most important thing. You know what I mean? I think it's important to have a healthy dialogue with people you don't just, you know, agree with, and that's how you can come to an agreement. You know, and that's really the only way you can go about it. You know, yelling doesn't get anywhere.
Thank you, Ms. Fletcher. Mr. Odell.
Stephens Park is our most underutilized city asset. You go out there behind you right now and look at it, it's in terrible condition. You look at all the communities around it, Sterling Heights, Roseville just recently are updating most of their parks. Families want to come to a community that has nice facilities. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but it's an investment in your community. And without a plan, like the other two candidates said, you're not going to get the grants. Working with Fraser First in the past, as I have, you know, you can relate. You can get a lot of money for 20 cents on the dollar. You can get a great park. And with the plan, it's going to be community involvement. It's not going to be what I want. It's going to be what the community wants, what the input of the community wants. We have ideas, but without a plan, you're going to get nothing. So, you know, the main thing is you got to have the vision for what Fraser can be, and Stephens can be a whole lot more than what it is right now.
Thank you so much. Next question to Mr. Higgins. Where do you see the city of Fraser in 5?
Did I start last time?
Oh, yeah, you did, so did me.
Right?
Oh,
I think so.
you did.
There we go. I don't want to go first.
No, sorry about that.
I'm keeping track.
Oh, boy, okay. So, Ms. Fletcher, then, I'm sorry about that. Where do you see the city of Fraser in 5 years?
I don't know the speed of government, to be quite honest, and how quickly we could get to this, but what I would really like to envision is that around 14 Mile and, close to Stephens Park, that area, if we're revamping that, and again, I don't know what hurdles I have to jump, so this is purely me outlining here, but I really think that is a beautiful space that we could use. Now that CVS isn't gonna be there, yes, there's that giant building, but that means we can put something else beautiful there that's not a CVS, you know what I mean? Is that gonna take time? Sure. There's that giant parking lot, there's all that space. I'd like to maybe come to an agreement with the gentleman that owns that, see if we can do some sort of food truck rally or something on the weekends to start. Further down the line, I'd like to get some sort of social district going on. We have a beautiful park, we have plenty of room in that area. I think we could really take advantage of that and really make it a nice little quaint town area. And if we get that park put together, then we can add stuff like bookstores. We can add things like small coffee shops because it will be a walkable area. I found grants that we can get to that'll help with downtown areas to make them nice. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Odell, what about the city of Fraser in 5 years? What do you see?
Well, in 5 years, I'd like to see much better roads. Luckily, the state of Michigan's just put more money into local roads, which we have lots of them that need to be fixed. So that will be a priority in my second term if reelected. I'd like to see the updated Stephens Park within 5 years. I think that's a realistic time frame. Can't do it all at once, but we can do it in pieces and make that happen. And most important for me is make sure Fraser is still on a continued financial path, stable financial path, so we can continue to invest in our community, fund our police, make sure we have the equipment that we need to run our city properly, and also just transparent government. If I'm reelected, that's my goal, and make sure that our city is transparent and residents have a city they can be proud of.
Thank you, Mr. Odell. And Mr. Higgins, sorry about that. I think you're right. I'm looking through my notes. I think I
sensed it.
So where do you see the city of Fraser in 5 years?
It's a big question. 5 years is a long time. Of course, we want to be on a good financial footing. That is key. Keeping an eye on those numbers. And I want to make sure we have a plan. We're going to have the sheets there. That's happening. Whether you like it or not, it's happening. I am a little bit, we're going to see a third gas station on that corner. I feel a little bit some sort of way about it, but we're going to have to develop a plan for what's going to happen to those 2 other gas stations. Are they going to survive, and what role, if any, is the city going to play in making sure we fill those 2 other gas stations with something that's going to be attractive to the community? The folks who are unhappy about sheets, I think, have an incentive to come and participate and make sure we have a plan as to what's going to go in to replace those 2 gas stations, but I can't imagine both of them are going to survive. So I agree we should have more walkability, more walkable infrastructure. You look at Sterling Heights, what they did in Plumbrook with some protected bike lanes to slow traffic down. I'd like to see increased traffic enforcement and code enforcement. That's what I'd like to see in Fraser in 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Mr. Odell, next question, Mr. Odell, how would you have voted for the Sheets project?
I wouldn't have changed my vote. I know it was a very controversial vote. Originally, I was in favor for the library to take it over, but that did not happen. The council didn't see it. It wouldn't have given us tax revenue, but it was a historic building. It would have been a way to save it long-term in the city, but that went away. That building's been empty for like 6 years or so, and there weren't a lot of places being down the door. It was going to cost $1 million to knock it down, $1 million to buy it, and there's not too many businesses that have that type of money just laying around. So when I'm looking at pros and cons. Is it what I wanted there? No, but I don't want an empty space there. That lot next to the bank was gone for 20 years I've been here. It hasn't been used. So it's going to create jobs. It's going to create tax revenue, and it's gonna make an empty space look better. Not, again, what I wanted, but it was the best alternative at the time.
Thank you. And Mr. Higgins, how would you have voted for the Sheets project?
It would have been a tough vote, and I think Crystal and I are both lucky to not have been on council when that happened, because it was a tough decision. Like I said, I'm loath to see a third gas station on that corner, and I know Dana, who had endorsed me, and Pat had brought a motion before council in 21, like he alluded to turn it into a library, which is something I would have supported. If I had thought that voting no would have embroiled the city in a lawsuit, because the developer Sheets wouldn't have just sat there quietly. They would have probably taken the city to court, alleged that their rights were being violated, and we could have a lawsuit in our hands. I would consult with the city attorney, and I would base my vote on, if I can vote, can I vote no, and can we stop this without getting the city into an expensive lawsuit? It could lose. If the answer to that question was, if we vote no and it fails, we're gonna get sued, I would feel that compelled to vote yes. If the same thing was gonna happen, except we'd have legal bills.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Ms. Fletcher, would you have voted for, how would you have voted for the Sheets project?
That's a very, very difficult question to answer, because it is a very complicated issue, as my friends have said. Honestly, I probably would have voted yes. My reasoning, the amount of time it had been sitting there, the amount of revenue we really need in this city. I mean, I know it sucks, I really do, but Speedway's kind of been getting crappy. The other one, the gentleman I know just resold it anyways, and from what I've heard, the other gentleman's not very interested in keeping it. I could be wrong, this is hearsay, but, our city needs the money, and I appreciate that they did really try to bend to some of the things that we wanted. They didn't do the drive-through. They have a nice walking area that really does it, and with a retention pond that I think is really going to turn out be looking pretty nice. There's nothing I can do about it regardless of how. I can say up to my eyeballs what I would have voted. I don't know. At the end of the day, I really don't know. I didn't have all the information. So, but yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And the next question first to Mr. Higgins. Public safety is the foundation of any strong and thriving city. How can you support our public safety to ensure we keep a strong, thriving department?
I think keeping public safety well-funded is key, especially if we want to see, I've been knocking doors and meeting residents where they're at, hopefully not bothering them too much when they're at home on a weekend. But one of the things I've heard over and over again is that folks want to see some increased code enforcement, and they want to see more patrols in the neighborhoods. And to have either of those things, you have to have a well-funded public safety department. And we have PSOs in Fraser, they do both police and fire. So that funding is really key to make sure if there's an emergency, we have people on hand, skilled professionals who are trained to respond to those sorts of things. So I think just keeping up that funding, maintaining that funding is really the answer.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Fletcher, public safety is the foundation of any strong and thriving community. How are you going to ensure that we keep a strong and thriving department?
I agree with what George said too. I do believe that we really do need to start pushing more on the code enforcement, patrolling. I know that it's been a little complicated in terms of who we've had on desk positions versus who we've actually had on the streets, so that kind of is, with shifts and whatnot, that's made it a little bit more difficult, but it's something that I really do think we need to figure out. Because I think that is really important. Living right off of Masonic and Schoolcraft, I see on Schoolcraft people flying down. We don't have sidewalks. We have little girls on my street. That's not okay. I shake my fist. But we need our police officers out there and enforcing. To make sure we're all safe. I also think too that I also think we have a great public safety as well. I mean, the fact that we just had the public safety event this past Sunday, they stay very involved with us, and I think that's fantastic. I think, again, the community, too. I think we brought Community Watch, Neighborhood Watch, sort of that sort of thing, too, and brought it with the police department. I think that'd be something nice to get the community together.
Thank you, Ms. Fletcher. Mr. Odell, public safety.
Well, Fraser Public Safety is beloved in our city. I don't hear too many people ever complain about the level of service they get when they encounter them except for tickets. But my main thing is make sure that they're properly supplied. They have the right equipment. They have we recently got a new ambulance, a second ambulance. I witnessed in front by where I live by Juan Blanco's that there was a time we had to rely on Roseville, and a gentleman got hit by a car and died because we only had one ambulance and it was in the shop, so we had to rely on our neighboring city. And it's very important that our public safety and ambulances, they're properly equipped. They've got the equipment, because it is a very dangerous job, because you never know what you're going to run into one day or the other. And we're having the right staffing levels. For keeping the staffing about where it's at right now, would I like more? Yes, but we don't want to get into another situation where we have to lay off cops because we can't afford to keep more than what's financially responsible.
Thank you, Mr. Odell. Next question, first to Ms. Fletcher. What is your first or top priority? What are your first or top priorities when you are elected into office?
I actually have been talking about a lot of them, but I think it's important to review. I know priority waste that's not my top priority, but this is the first one I'm thinking about that we haven't been talking about yet. But I know priority waste and their reliability has been an issue. I think that needs to be addressed by speaking with them. Obviously, I know we just renewed a contract. I'm not sure what we can do about it at this point, to be quite honest, but maybe if we get the community together, if we have someone leading from council or something, approaching them, enough of us shaking our fists might make a difference. I'm not sure what we can do, but that's important. I've talked about, I'd like to establish a dog park, not at Stephens, but there's another vacant land that we have already. There are some grants that we can get that I think would be really nice and would be a nice addition, since we don't have one of those in the city. Again, just trying to make sure our budget is balanced and that we are getting back into a place of abundance. You know what I mean? I know as they talk that we were kind of behind. So.
Thank you very much. Mr. Odell, top priorities.
For me, probably the top one is to get more local roads and sidewalks completed in our city. We have a lot of sidewalks that just end all of a sudden, so we're already got a plan in place to work and get some grant money to finish off sidewalks in the city. Keeping a long-term financial health is very important to me. I'm not in favor of raising PA 33 if absolutely possible. You never know in an emergency, but my goal is not to raise taxes for the next term at all from our current levels. And also working on Stephens Park and getting a plan together to update that city asset. Those would be my top priorities.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Higgins, your top priorities.
I want to second the work on the local roads and our sidewalks. I know a plan has already been kind of approved to work on filling sidewalk gaps. I would like to look into maybe revisiting the idea of a DDA. I think a lot of the questions, the ideas we're talking about today about we want to have a town that people want to spend time in and places where people can go out to eat, get drinks, and go to the park. To create that kind of space, a DDA can be a useful tool to develop that kind of space and attract businesses, and you've got to have financial incentives and the right structure for that to happen. And then, of course, avoiding raising PA 33. That's got to be avoided at all costs. So besides that, holding sheets and priority waste accountable to the agreements they've made with the city. The other day I saw a priority waste truck out picking up trash at 8 p.m. on Masonic. So I think they very clearly bit off a little bit more than they can chew, and I think they're running those crews really hard, and the residents are suffering because of it.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Odell, next question. Are we going to bring sports back to the city? Families are having to take their children to other cities.
Great question. Since I have 3 young boys who were active in Fraser recreation programs before the city shut it down during COVID and didn't bring it back up, and that was one of my priorities, is to try to get that back up and running. We do have a recreation director, but sports has been one of those items that have lagged behind because parents have taken their kids to other communities because we don't have anything to offer them. I would like to see small sports maybe work with other local Rare and maybe Clinton Township, so we can start off maybe with T-ball and some of the smaller sports, because you're not going to be able to just get full teams of older kids because they have already gone somewhere else. You got to start with the younger ones and bring them up. So we can make sports come back. It's just going to be a slow burn. You got to work with the surrounding communities, and I've worked with them and know that they're willing to do that to make it successful.
Thank you. Mr. Higgins, are you going to bring sports back to the city?
Well, I think we already do have sports in that we have a thriving public school system here in Fraser, very highly rated public schools, Fraser Public Schools, and they have sports. I was talking to a friend the other day on the phone. She's like, hey, I'm in Fraser right now because I'm going to practice. She's at the Big Boy, or she was at the Total Soccer. But we do have sports, and then they practices at Fraser High School, of course. So if it can be done in a cost-effective way, yeah, I would love, and I think we revitalize Stephens Park and actually have something there. Maybe we'll have a reason to bring sports back. You can't bring sports back if what you're going to ask them to play on is a baseball diamond that's falling apart. That's hazardous for kids. So I think we want to bring sports back. It starts with revitalizing Stephens Park and developing a plan for that.
Thank you. And Ms. Fletcher, what about sports?
I'm 110% a proponent for the Fraser Recreation, as I actually was in their dance program and it got canceled the year before my senior year of high school, so I was really heartbroken about that. But I also think that we have to be realistic, and we have a small community. If we want bigger teams, if we want more variety for kids, it might be a better option to try to, as mentioned, partner with other cities. You know, we'll have more variety, they'll have more options. You know what I mean? Not every kid's going to be a soccer kid, not every kid's going to be, we'll have things possibly like dance and whatnot that we could get into for people that are into the typical sports. I think it'll just open up more opportunities. But I 110% think we should push more and get some sort of program going, because we do need to get our kids more active in the community. But I 110% agree too with our Fraser kids. We're very, very blessed to have really, really good programs. I mean, I was probably involved in each and every sport that I could in high school at some point, so it was bad. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Higgins, first. You're the first one for this question. What is your understanding of the scope of substance use in our community, and how does it rank among your priorities?
I think I know who asked this question. I would like to develop more of an understanding, if I'm being frank, because it is a big issue. It's a huge issue that's hit almost every community throughout this country, especially originating with these companies, privately owned companies that pushed opioid painkillers on people and purposely looked at markets where people work physical jobs. So here in Macomb County, we're a blue-collar county, a lot of union employees, a lot of people working in industry who are not unionized. And those people get hurt a lot. Those companies came here and they purposely targeted markets based off of, people who work those kinds of jobs and the prevalence of those in those communities. So I would like to develop more of an understanding. I think we should be honest when we don't have a full understanding of an issue and like to learn more. So I will be talking to my friends over at CARE of Southeastern Michigan to hopefully develop a better understanding of where we are now. I think things have gotten a little bit better in recent years, but with the cost of living right now, I would like to learn more.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Fletcher, what is your understanding of the scope of substance use, and how does it rank among your priorities?
I couldn't tell you percentages, but I know it has been an ongoing issue since I was in high school. I mean, we used to call Fraser Heroin High in high school when I was there. So yeah, you can tell it's been an ongoing problem for quite some time. But I think I love CARE. I think they're an absolutely fantastic add-on to the community. Fans fantastic is fantastic. Is great as well. I mean, they truly bring understanding to the community, and they bring resources. I think we could definitely be doing more for those resources in the area. because especially aiming towards more teens and whatnot too. There's a lot of substances out there, and there's a lot of foreign substances out there now too. You know, it's so important that we help these kids understand, you know, and give them proper education, and adults as well too, because I think so many adults are miseducated on addiction as well and the processes involved in it. I think it's so important for community understanding.
Thank you, Ms. Fletcher. And Mr. Odell, your understanding of the scope of substance, and how does it rank among your priorities?
Well, it's a huge issue for all communities, and as a city council person, I think it's important that we make sure our first line services have the education and know where the resources are to help these people. Instead of just throwing people in jail, you want to try to get them into programs. You know, my wife's a defense attorney. She handles a lot of this type of issues in courts every day. A lot of it is just having the resources and getting the right resources for the right problem. So as a city council person, my goal is to make sure that our public safety has all the resources and knowledge that they need to make helping our residents that are in abuse problems or substance abuse problems get the care that they need. So hopefully, you know, it doesn't hurt families and stuff that it does so bad.
Thank you, Mr. Odell. Ms. Fletcher, how would you reduce the large ticket expenses that the city has?
Large ticket is in like the larger expenses altogether. Like big
Whoever
tickets,
asked
you know
that
what I mean?
question, would you be willing to respond? And you don't have to.
Sorry.
We don't want to put anybody on the spot for sure. So if somebody wants
You
to
guys
answer
understand
that
it better than me?
question.
Big ticket
Yeah.
expenses, big expenses.
Right, like the big expenses. I don't know, to be quite honest. I'm new to government, you know. I'm more than happy to learn though, and I think that's going to be part of the process. You know, I don't know exactly what we can cut out. I think our government, as of right now, has been doing a very good job of trying to keep a balanced budget and trying to keep everything in line for us, so that, you know, if there's a fine line between, you know, what services we need and want, you know, and also not raising our taxes. And I know that we really don't want to play with that. But reducing these expenses, you know, I mean, it's hard to answer not knowing what exactly we're talking about either. You know what I mean? Are we talking a large expense because we have to buy stuff for public safety? You know, I mean, I'm not sure what that is about. So I hope I answered. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Fletcher. Mr. Odell, how would you reduce the large ticket expenses that the city has?
I don't know how you reduce them. You're always going to have big ticket items that you got to replace because they just wear out. I mean, eventually you'll need to buy a new fire truck. Those are a couple $1 million. Main thing is to be proactive and make sure you're accounting for those or anticipating those expenses coming up, so you have them properly funded. In competitive bidding when you can do it. Recently, well, it has been recently, about my first year in, we were looking to buy a new pump truck, a fire truck, and some on council wanted to put it out for competitive bidding, but if we would have done that, since fire trucks are not like something you can buy at Walmart and you know, easily compare with different retail companies, public safety found a great deal on the pump truck. If we would have put it out to bid, it would have probably cost us a couple $100,000 more. So you got to be smart with the money, but you also got to be realistic and look at more ways to solve those problems than just doing it the same way over and over again.
Thank you. Mr. Higgins, please.
I think, you know, the biggest ticket expense the city has, besides the public safety, which we can't touch because we want to have a good level of service and fast response time from our first responders, there's high legacy costs that the city has. We have a large unfunded pension liability. So working and looking for ways in the budget that we could pay down those long-term liabilities. My understanding is that aside from public safety, we're not offering defined benefit pension plans to employees anymore. It's all 401ks, which is, you know, that helps to reduce the cost quite a lot. But other ways we could look at it is right now, I mean, with the state budget, unfortunately, revenue sharing is kind of taking a big hit. And revenue sharing, you know, we'll get some from the roads will help, because that's in the budget, but revenue sharing took a big hit. I'm not sure exactly how much Fraser's gonna lose based off that. But advocating for more revenue sharing, not less, from the state government, and asking our state rep, to, what's our earmarks in the budget? I know our state senator got us a lot of great earmarks in the last budget, so we should look at our state rep, who's in the majority now, and say, hey, where's Fraser's tax dollars that should be coming home?
Thank you so much. Next question, first to Mr. Odell. We have this question and one more question, and then we're going to close. We get to as many questions as we can. We thank you for submitting the ones that you have. How can we fix Fort Fraser now, not a year or years from now?
Well, unfortunately, with a facility as big as Fort Fraser, it's not you can't really fix it now. It's 30 plus years old. It's past its useful life. But it is beloved. This is a beloved landmark in the city, and we go back and forth with what to do with it. We just recently did some upgrades to it. We've added some new equipment to it not too long ago. But the only way you're going to really upgrade or fix it is to replace it, because a lot of it is not going to be replaceable or fixable. It's a wood structure. Wood breaks, you got to replace the wood. It's not cheap. I wish there was a way. The only way to really fix it quickly is if you have the money to do it, and that probably would cost about $1 million to replace it. So that's why when we're looking at Stephens Park, it does make sense to fix it up and slap some paint on it and make it look a little nicer, or does it make sense to be more accessible and have a playground that's up to date?
Thank you so much. Mr. Higgins, please.
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy answer to that question. Like Pat said, I don't think you can fix it in just a year or two. We could put out the call looking for volunteers who are experienced and that sort of thing, who live in the city. And my understanding is we used to have somebody with the city who did that kind of pro bono. That person's no longer here, so that can't we don't have access to that anymore. But Fort Fraser, I remember playing on as a kid. Quite a lot, and I grew up in the East Warren, so I was close, but I wasn't in Fraser, and that brought me into the city. So finding a way to maintain Fort Fraser while making the rest of Stephens Park really nice, and hopefully something that's going to be more durable and more accessible, is key to attracting residents and keeping families here in Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Ms. Fletcher, how can we fix Fort Fraser now?
I'm gonna be real boring, because I really don't have much to add to what they say, because I was there when they were literally deciding what it was gonna look like. I was a kid. And being a wood structure, it's not like, metal. It degrades in a way that not only is it degrading, but it can be dangerous, unfortunately. So, they can make so many changes, but do we want to invest a bunch of money into something that'll be here and now? And sure, it'll be here and now, but we could do so much, something bigger and better in the long term. I know we want our cake and we want to eat it too. You know what I mean? I know we want a beautiful park. I know we want what it was. I know I want what it was. But we have to really find a balancing act so that we do have something accessible to the kids now, but also so we're not putting a bunch of empty money into that and just to dump a whole bunch more into something that we want to have longer withstanding.
Okay, thank you so much. And last question, and this goes to Mr. Higgins. Why do you think you're the best choice? What experience do you have?
Like I said before, I've worked kind of customer service for constituents before. I've been available through phone call or an email. I've been ready to dig into the issues and talk to people in different departments, different state agencies, and try to get to the bottom of things. People have problems with government all the time, and sometimes it's just they don't have the correct understanding of what needs to be done for what they want to happen. Other times they've done things, they have completed their part of things, and a service is due to them. So that's why I think I'm the best choice. One of the good choices. I think we have a lot of good choices up here. I'm very excited to hopefully serve on council. Like I said before, I've lived in Fraser for almost 5 years now, and I'm in the Venetian Village subdivision, south. And right now we have one person on council who's from Venetian Village South, but she's not running for re-election. And nobody else on council is from Venetian Village South. So I would like to be on council so we can have at least one person in the densest neighborhood with the most taxpayers in Fraser to represent our community.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Ms. Fletcher, what do you think? Why do you think you're the best choice?
I think we have, as well, I think we have a bunch of fantastic choices up here, and I am very honored to be up here. But I think I have a drive and a love for the city that, you know, I may not have the experience in politics, and I may not have the education in finance, but you know what? I'm a nerd. I like to read, and if I want to learn something, I'm going to. So if I want to learn, I want to get grants taken care of, I'm going to get those grants taken care of. You know, if I need to learn something so that for the next meeting, I'm going to learn that and then some. I have a drive and I have a care and I want to serve our city. You know, I've always been that way. I worked with a pet adoption group for 10 years. I did a lot of work with the Salvation Army. I've worked with American Disaster Action Team, American Red Cross Disaster Action Team. Actually responded to house fires. I'm a service person. You know, I just want to be there for the community. I want to learn. I want to get good at this, and I hope you'll give me an opportunity. You know, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fletcher. Mr. Odell, why do you think you're the best choice? What experience do you have?
Well, experience-wise, I've been on council for 4 years. I just was recently unanimously voted mayor pro tem. And so I think that speaks well that I work well with others on council. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I'm not afraid to ask hard questions. I'm a tax collector for my day job. I have tough conversations every day of the week with residents and business owners. So I'm not afraid to have those conversations with people. You might not always like my answers, but I'm going to tell you why I think the way I think, and you know, so you know where I'm coming from. And I want to hear from residents. I want your input. I might not agree with you, but I'm gonna soak it all in and make sure that I'm making the best common sense decision for our city. I care about the city. My family lives here. I wanted to leave it a better place when I leave than when I came in. So that's my goal. I have the drive. I think I have the educational experience and the finance experience that is a plus for the city, and hopefully voters feel the same.
Thank you, Mr. Odell. We'll now go to the closing statements. Each candidate has 1 minute for their closing statement, and we will start in the reverse order of the opening statement. So that would be Ms. Fletcher, first one. Thank you.
Well, I just want to thank you guys again for having us and the VFW for hosting. This has been a fantastic opportunity, and I feel very honored and blessed to have this opportunity. Again, you know, I don't have the experience. I'm not going to put on a front that I know everything. I don't, but I do care, and I do want to be able to help. So, and I think that's a big first step. You know, and I am a very open and transparent individual. You'll get my opinion, but I also want to hear from you. I love dialogue. I love having a logic and debate session. So if you have a differing opinion, let's go. You know, I enjoy that. You know, we miss that in our community now these days, I feel, because, you know, people get so worked up so quickly. We got to be able to differ. We got to be able to talk things out, because I need to understand where you're coming from, and the same goes the other way, you know, and I think that's so important. And I hope I can help do that. I hope I can just help bring some more spark back to this community. Be the spark.
Thank you, Crystal Fletcher. And next, Mr. George Michael Higgins.
Yeah, well, thank you guys all for coming, for listening to us go on and on today. I'll thank our hosts again, of course, and I want to thank my friend Dana Sutherland, who encouraged me to run. I want to thank Sherry, who I met first, I think, almost before anybody else, back in 23. I've been coming to council since 2022, and on and off again more regularly in the last year and a half. And I think I have a good grasp of where the city is at. The current, you know, what the returning business will be, what the new business will be, what the unfinished business will be before council. I think I'm up to speed on all of that, and I'm ready to add my voice and hopefully reflect what the residents want, right? So thank you to everybody who's on council, who's encouraged me and been supportive and signed my nominating petition. We have a good council. I first went before council because I disagreed with something that was on the agenda, and I emailed the entire council and I CC'd them all, and it went great, you know. So I encourage residents to come out to city council and participate.
Thank you, Mr. George Michael Higgins and Mr. Patrick Odell. 1 minute, please.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Seeing so many people here, and if you're watching this later on, it shows that you care about your city. You want to be informed. You want to make the right decision. Make sure that whoever you're voting for is going to represent you. My goal is to be transparent. My goal is to be available. My goal is to use common sense decisions in moving forward with the city and working with the council, whoever they may be, to get the best result for your city as possible. Always feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I have re-elect Patrick Odell to Fraser Council as my Facebook page, so I don't like to hit the websites with too many political stuff because I know it gets very tiring, but I'm here available to talk to you. I want to hear from you, and I hope to earn your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick Odell. I wish to thank the candidates for participating in the City of Fraser Candidate Forum for City Council at Large. 3 open seats for a 4-year term each. I also wish to thank our league members for volunteering their time this evening. Thanks due to the Fraser VFW for the use of this hall and to Michael Lesich for filming this forum. Please check our website, lwvmacombcounty.org, for viewing information. That won't be out for another couple of days, perhaps. The League of Women Voters of Michigan electronic voter guide covering this race and other Macomb County races is available on vote411.org and is linked to our website. The general election is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. All registered voters who have applied should have received an application to apply for a no excuse ballot, absentee ballot. You can verify your voting registration status and check your ballot by visiting vote411.org, michigan.gov/vote, or by calling your city clerk. Note that you can register to vote up to and including Election Day. To do this, you need to go to the clerk's office and be ready to vote. To ensure you don't miss the opportunity to vote in the future, please consider signing up with your city clerk to get on the permanent absentee ballot list. This means you will automatically be sent absentee ballots for every election. If you're mailing your ballot back, please do so by October 15th. Be sure to sign the envelope, seal the envelope, and deliver it to the clerk. That's signed, sealed, and delivered. You can also take it to a drop box. All ballots must be received on or before Tuesday, November 4th by 8 p.m. to be counted. If anybody is interested in possibly joining the League of Women Voters or giving us your information so we could provide you with voting information, let us know. We have a sign-up sheet here. We'd like to, education is one of our missions. So this concludes our forum. Thank you and good evening.